Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto and Sakura could never save Sasuke and united their hearts and harems, part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Sasuke, said Naruto again as he continued to stare at the dark-haired Uchiha, the last surviving Uchiha that is. He didn't know what to say, or do for this matter. He either wanted to punch Sasuke out, call his Anbu to arrest him or just plain break down in tears of sorrow and happiness and hug the Tem right there. Naruto then took a breath and calmly spoke, I see you've come back Tem, why though? Sakura was watching Naruto for a while then looked at Sasuke to see his reactions. Sasuke looked like he was conflicting with a few things in his head, but finally the man spoke. What's it look like Dobi? I've come back to Konoha to accept my punishment for deserting the village, as well as killing that nobody that was supposed to replace me. A small smirk appeared on his lips as he looked at his old friend. Sakura waited to see and hear what Naruto would do next. Naruto did the only thing he possibly had in his mind at the moment. He practically rushed around his desk and punched Sasuke square across the jaw, knocking the raven-haired man against the wall. Sasuke grunted in pain as he stared at Naruto after being knocked against the wall and then to his knees. Naruto growled, You've got a lot of nerve coming back here, Sasuke. I don't care if we were friends or not, what you did to the team, what you did to Sai, is unforgivable. Sakura, how the hell did you find him? Naruto turned his glare now towards Sasuke's beloved. Sakura winced and then said, During the mission to Kumogakure Naruto-sama, he actually found me. Naruto, please, it's taken me a lot of energy to get him to come back to us finally. Sakura then looked at the floor, and wondered if this was a good time to drop the big bomb on her closest friend and her lover. Sakura looked ready to cry at this moment. Naruto bit his lip as he looked between the now standing Sasuke and what looked to be a very upset Sakura. Oi, this is very, very hard to make a decision right now. You two have put me in a very bad position. Sakura-chan, what the hell you doing Tem? Yelled Naruto as he looked at Sasuke. Sasuke had somehow managed to walk over to Naruto and was now on his hands and knees, bowing to Naruto, his face hidden as he spoke in a quiet voice that held pain and something else in that tone, which this also shocked the hell out of Sakura too. Naruto, I know what I did to you both in the past was very wrong. I know I can't ask you to forgive me just yet, but, please have changed since that time. I've had 5 years to think over everything I've done. Sakura-chan's helped me see the light, and, I love her for that now. I could have been dead by now if it wasn't for her wanting me to come back to Konohagakure. I had no other place to return to. All I did was wander aimlessly without a purpose. If my punishment is death, then so be it. I would rather die knowing that at least I came back to Konohagakure, with my burdens lifted from my shoulders. Sakura frowned. After listening to Sasuke's speech, she was both touched at his words. She was his reasons for coming back to a village that might hate him. And he loved her. She would have fainted like a rabid fangirl at this moment knowing this, if it wasn't for Naruto's shocked, yet saddened look on his whiskered face. She was worried that Naruto would have Sasuke put to death. He had to obey the laws of the village after all. Quickly Sakura spoke up. Naruto. She was interrupted by Naruto placing out a hand to silence her, as he crossed his arms and looked down at Sasuke, finally speaking. You know you look so pathetic. That's not the Sasuke I know. Suddenly a grin was plastered on his face as he continued, Get up Tem, I've already forgiven you long ago. You had your reasons, and you thought things over, I can accept that, but as for your punishment, right now I have to talk to the council about it, but for now, you are hereby restricted to Sakura's apartment until I can get an answer from the council. But if I know the council, they probably will only give you a very light sentence, seeing most of the village thinks Orochimaru somehow kidnapped and brainwashed you, the stupid hubby Tem. Sasuke lifted his head to look at Naruto briefly, and suddenly a hand was placed in front of his face, Naruto's. Sasuke immediately took the hand and got to his feet. Sasuke was about to say something but was immediately bear-hugged by the blonde just as he got to his feet. Sasuke's eyes widened slightly as he was frozen in his place. He had not been expecting this. Sasuke then hugged Naruto back stiffly. Sakura tried to hold back a giggle at the sight. It was a bit of an odd scene, but to her it was a very happy one. She then heard Naruto speak up. "Welcome back, Sasuke. You better treat Sakura-chan right, or I won't be responsible for what happens to you." Sasuke chuckled and said back, "Arigato, Naruto." The sound of someone clearing their throat could be heard and Sasuke and Naruto both pulled out of the hug to look at Sakura. Sakura spoke up. "Now that the both of you have forgiven each other and not to interrupt this happy moment, but we should I don't know, get back to our duties, especially you Naruto-sama, you have a lot of paperwork to finish and Sasuke and I should head back to my apartment and wait to see what the council has in store for Sasuke's fate." "Oh, Naruto, can you have Hinata-chan come by this afternoon? There's something I want to ask her about." "Sure, no problem, Sakura-chan, I'll see if she's not too busy to come over," said Naruto. "By the way, no one from the Konoha 11 can know that you're back here yet." "Well, scratch that, there's only one person that's seen you, Sasuke, and that was Neji, but I know he can keep his mouth shut for the time being. But no one else can find out until the council makes its decision, and my own decision becomes law here. This is between our team only." "Hi," said the couple as they listened to Naruto's speech. Naruto smirked and said as he walked back towards his desk, "It's good that you're back, Sasuke. I think the entire village missed you, not just me and Sakura, of course. You two are dismissed, for now. I should have the decision by the end of this week." He then waved the two lovers off so that he could get back to his work. Both of them quickly bowed their heads and walked out of the office. It was like a great weight lifted off of Sakura's shoulders. So far so good. Sasuke's fate was in the hands of her best friend and the council now. "So that's my plan, guys. It seems he's gone back to the Leaf Village," said Karen to the two people in front of her. Karen had managed to track down her two former Team Hubby companions, Suigetsu and Jugo. Karen crossed her arms as she tossed her hair back to move it out of her eyes. "So let me get this straight, you want us to help you kidnap that pink-haired woman that boss has an infatuation for now?" said Suigetsu, his pointed teeth biting into his lower lip a little as he eyed Karen. "Man, you are fucking sick, you know that, Karen. Why don't you give up on boss? He has no interest in you, for sakes." Suigetsu had taken it upon himself to not bother pursuing Sasuke after Sasuke had disbanded Team Hubby, even though he had been a Genin-ranked shinobi with the strength of a Junin or even Sannin then. Suigetsu didn't really want to die from such a quick death either. Jugo spoke in his polite tone of voice. He seemed to be really calm for once today. "I have to agree with Suigetsu on this one, Karen. Your infatuation for Sasuke will only get you killed in the end. Sasuke has no need of us. He is allowed to go back to his own life if he wants to, and/or start a new one." Karen wanted to beat the living hell out of the both of them at this moment. She had thought that they would be on her side this time. It wasn't fair. If Sasuke had wanted to start a new life now that he killed his brother Itachi, then why couldn't it be with her? She would have been a better choice than some common girl. "Guys, please, I know you guys fulfilled your own ambitions when Sasuke was around. You Suigetsu got to face Kisame Hoshigaki, and Jugo, actually I don't know exactly what you were doing with Sasuke on this team, but you were vital too for some reason. I just think Sasuke isn't happy where he is. Maybe we could instead pay him a visit for old time's sake." Suigetsu did not like the sound of Karen's tone or words. She probably was trying to butter him and Jugo up. Suigetsu turned towards Jugo, who was looking at him in return with a steady calm glance. Suigetsu sighed and ran his hands through his white hair and eyed Karen with an ugly look. "Fine, we'll kidnap the girl, but only because I want a little battle out of Sasuke just to see how strong he really is. I don't know how he managed to beat that brother of his. after the rumors I heard about him. I want to see it for myself. But one false thing and both I and Jugo are out of here, got that? Jugo frowned at his partner giving in to Karen's sweet talking. He would perhaps keep an eye on Karen during the entire operation. But he agreed with Suigetsu on this. If Karen showed any form of deceit and Jugo would personal kill Karen himself, curse seal or no curse seal. Jugo then spoke in his calm voice. I concur with Suigetsu, but leaving will not be the only thing I will do. If you deceive us Karen, I will personally kill you, and you know what happens when you piss me off. Karen was more scared of Jugo and his threats than she was of Suigetsu's. Jugo was the reason there were curse mark of heavens in the first place after all. Karen then smiled and pushing her glasses up closer to her face she spoke. Arigato guys. Okay, so I've planted some evidence of this and Karen began to talk about what she had in store for the Uchiha and the pregnant Sakura. It was probably a pretty evil plan, on Karen's part. Oh, she could not wait to see Sasuke-kins again. She would count on the success of this little plot, knowing how well her partners did in the field. It was 2 months later, since Sasuke's return had been announced and the decision of the council had been made. The sentence of death had been commuted. Sasuke would not be put to death, but he was not allowed to go on any missions that were the rank of B or higher for at least 3 months. And when he did go on missions and return from them, he was not allowed to travel around the village without either Sakura, or without Anbu escorts. The village might have forgiven the man, but they could not still trust him yet. The entire Konoha 11 had been happy though, to know that Sasuke had returned. Team 7 had worked their siesters off trying to bring back the raven-haired man to the village. Though a certain Yamanaka was upset at losing her chance to be with the Uchiha, but got over it pretty damn fast knowing he was in love with Sakura, deeply at that. It wasn't until the month after all the excitement had died down a little, until Sakura in her 4.5 month of pregnancy had decided to tell Sasuke finally about the little surprise growing inside of her womb. She felt it was safe now to tell Sasuke, even though the man had been really concerned about her for the past month when her morning sickness had become really frequent, during her 2nd month of pregnancy. He had been about ready to tell her to march herself to the hospital to find out what was causing her to be so sick. Besides this, Sakura couldn't hide the baby for very long, she was starting to show, and no amount of baggy clothing would hide the small swell in her stomach for that long. She knew she would get bigger as the months ticked down to the final month. She was just feeling mostly tired now and there were days she just felt like sleeping the entire time. Sasuke-kun, I need to talk to you. I was wondering if we could go for a walk or something. Asked Sakura on one of his weeks off from missions. Hinata had confirmed her pregnancy, and vowed to Sakura she would keep this a secret from Naruto until she was ready to tell everyone about the surprise. Sasuke was sitting on her couch looking at her with slight suspicion in his dark eyes. Alright, let's go Sakura, said Sasuke as he got to his feet and headed to the door and the place where he stored his black Zori sandals near. Sakura nodded and nervously walked with him, already having her comfortable black sandals on her feet. Once they were outside, Sasuke grabbed her hand and began walking with her. Sakura smiled at him and laid her head against his shoulder. She enjoyed these times, where she could show how much she adored this man who had actually fallen in love with her and had admitted to that love right in front of their own Hokage. They walked a good 20 minutes before Sasuke stopped and asked, "So what's up? Tell me what's going on and why you wanted to talk to me so badly." Maybe this would answer the questions that were going on in his head, on why Sakura had been so ill during the past 2 months, and now she was being lazy a lot more than she usually was. Sakura then began to stutter. Well, I wanted to ask you, what would you think about trying to rebuild your clan in the near future? I mean the really near future. Sakura was scared now. Would he finally catch the drift that she was trying to get at with him? Or would he embarrass her? There was a deadly silence between the two of them. What do you mean, Sakura? Yes, I want to restore my clan eventually, but why did you say in the near future? He then paused, as suddenly something hit him, dead center. His onyx eyes widened slightly in shock. Sakura, are you? He began to stutter slightly, and about to finish his sentence when a loud shout came towards them. Hey Sasuke! The voice that had shouted the raven-haired Uchiha's name was none other than a panting Kiba Inuzuka as the dog using Nin was running up towards the couple. He was waving at them as he ran until finally he reached them. Hokage-sama wants you in his office, apparently your punishment's over, and he needs you to go on a B-ranked search mission for him, said Kiba as he tried to catch his breath while saying this. He then noticed that the two were having a conversation before he had rudely interrupted them. Oh, you guys were having a private moment. Gomen, I'll leave you two alone, I just had to come get Sasuke. Kiba bowed his head and quickly made haste in leaving the silently shocked couple to themselves. Sasuke had heard the Inuzuka, but chose to ignore him. He would go deal with this mission of Naruto's after. Right now, the future of his clan was riding on this conversation. Sakura, answer me, are you pregnant? Growled Sasuke as he suddenly grabbed her by the shoulders and shook her a little. Sakura bit down on her lip and nodded quietly, before speaking in a meek-sounding voice, yes, Sasuke, I'm 4.5 months pregnant. Sasuke remained quiet after Sakura spoke these simple words, confirming everything that had happened to the girl during the past few months, which Sasuke had noticed. The man looked deathly pale at that moment. He didn't know what to do. He wanted to hug Sakura tightly and tell her that this was good news, break down crying, or just run from her and never look back. Sasuke then stuttered as he turned to start walking towards the Hokage office. Sakura, I have to go talk to Naruto-sama. He sounded pretty urgent when he sent Kiba. Without another word he quickly took off, leaving Sakura alone and very upset, not even giving her a chance to talk. Sakura fought back her tears as she watched him disappear around the corner, and slowly she began walking back to her apartment. It was obvious from Sasuke's reaction he was not happy with her. He probably thought that she had used him just to get his seat inside of her, so that he would be forced to come back and be with her if she had become pregnant, or something of that sort. Why do you have to be such a jerk, Sasuke, why? She said softly to herself as she had managed to get inside of her apartment before she broke out in tears, then collapsed into a tiny ball of misery on her couch, and practically cried herself to sleep. Sasuke's pav, I am such a fool, why did I run from her? She's carrying my child inside of her. Damn it, I thought I was more cautious when I had with her. Things happen though, I can't blame this on her, she loves me, and, God, I love her too. I have to make this up to her, my beautiful cherry blossom. As soon as I get the mission briefing I'll go back to the apartment and talk to her, do something for her. Damn it, I should have been careful though, I wasn't expecting to start rebuilding the clan so fast. I wonder, she must be 4 months pregnant by now at least. Hey, I wonder what it's going to be like being a father. I'd probably do a lot better job than my own did with me and Itachi. Grr, I will curse that name until the day I die, even if he is dead now. I hope Sakura won't do anything foolish, like hurt herself or the baby. I really messed up though, she's upset, and I could feel it when I ran off like that. Sigh, I better do something fast, I am not leaving this village until I know she's okay. Maybe I can talk to Naruto about keeping an eye on her for me while I'm gone on the mission. End Sasuke's POV. Sasuke had arrived at the Hokage's office in record timing. He still looked pale from the good news he had received from Sakura, and at least this would be good news to him, if he hadn't been a baka and ran off from her, like a stupid child. Sasuke waited as he knocked on the door to be let into the office. Come in Sasuke, spoke Naruto from inside of the office. Sasuke opened the door and saw not just Naruto, but Neji and Shino standing there. By the looks of it, Sasuke would not be going alone on this sort of mission. That was fine and dandy for him. He could maybe ask for a little advice from Neji while they were on this mission, seeing Neji's wife was pregnant and whatnot. Ah, finally, you're here, Tem, chuckled Naruto as he began going through papers on his desk yet again. Sasuke felt bad for Naruto always having to do paperwork. One of these days, he was going to spar with Naruto when he came back from either this mission or whatever. Sasuke then spoke up. Yeah, I'm here, so I'm guessing Aburame and Hyuga here are coming with me on this B-ranked mission. Yep, you three are the perfect people I need to go find this kidnapper and the victim. Apparently, a princess from the land of the bear has been kidnapped by a Junin-ranked missing ninja of the village hidden among the rocks. It's your job to kill the missing nin, and return Princess Kuriomi to her respectful land before we end up having a huge problem on our hands. Our relations with the land of the bear is already strained enough. The mission should only take a month. Sasuke chewed on the inside of his cheek as he listened to the details of the mission. He looked towards Neji for a moment. Wasn't Tenten now 6 or 7 months pregnant? This was going to take Neji away from his wife, that was for sure. Shino, he didn't know what sort of relations the quiet Aburame had. Sasuke only knew that Sakura would be alone, and he wanted to patch things up before he left here on this retarded mission. Sasuke grunted and then spoke up as Naruto was finishing giving the details. I have a problem about this mission, maybe I should discuss this with you privately, Naruto-sama. He knew he wanted to keep Sakura's pregnancy hushed for now, but this could not wait until he came back from the mission. Naruto looked at Sasuke and then sighed and said, Fine, Neji, Shino, you're dismissed, you guys leave as soon as you're ready. That princess has to come back alive, guys, remember that when you're on this mission. Neji and Shino quickly got up and stiffly bowed their heads to Naruto before making a quick exit out the office door, leaving the last remaining Uchiha and the Hokage alone to talk. Naruto pulled out a pen and began filling out paperwork yet again as he spoke up. So what sort of urgent problem do you have that affects you going on this mission, Sasuke Tem? You better make it fast, because you have a mission to go on, and this is your first B-ranked mission since returning to the village and since now your punishment is over with. Sakura's pregnant, Naruto, stammered Sasuke, as he placed both his palms flat on a stack of papers, shifting them slightly as he spoke. Naruto accidentally ripped the paper he had been working on with his pen as he heard Sasuke stammer out Sakura's condition. Naruto looked up at Sasuke with what one could say a mix of shock, anger and surprise all in one. Naruto then said, Sasuke, whose kid is it? Naruto looked ready to kill the person that left his best friend and sister figure in the condition she was in. Yeah, Sakura was like a big sister to him, seeing she was his very close friend, just like he treated Sasuke like the brother he never had. Who do you think that kid belongs to, Naruto? Think. I found Sakura in the land of lightning, several months ago. What do you think we did when we found each other? He paused as he watched Naruto think this over. It's mine, Naruto. God, you're such a doby. Who else would know about her condition? Naruto glared at Sasuke and his hand snaked out at Sasuke and Sasuke was dragged almost across the desk by his collar. You're dead, Tem. How dare you get her pregnant and then hiding this good news from me? I just fucking found out after all this time, Naruto, growled Sasuke, his eyes looking ready to turn crimson, that of his Sharingan eyes at how pissed off he was. Sasuke grunted and tried to calm himself down, as did Naruto. They could beat each other to a living pulp later. Naruto had his Hokage duties, and Sasuke had a mission to do. Look, I need you to have someone keep an eye on Sakura while I'm on the mission. She's not herself right now, and I kinda blew up at her when I found out. Sasuke immediately dodged a book that had been thrown at him by his best friend and heard him shouting, Get going. You better make this all up to Sakura-chan, before you leave Konohagakure on this mission, or I might change my mind and that of the councils and have you thrown in jail. Don't worry about Sakura-chan, I'll have Hinata or Tenten keep an eye on her while the three of you are away, believe it. Sasuke winced a little and immediately threw a hand sign up and disappeared in a wisp of leaves and wind. He then reappeared on the balcony of his beloved's apartment, testing the door and seeing it was unlocked, he slipped inside. He called out, "Sakura." He looked around and then spotted his beautiful pregnant cherry blossom sleeping on the couch. A small sad smile appeared on his lips, as he got to his knees in front of the couch and began stroking her pink cotton candy hair gently. His eyes drifted to the small bump that he finally began to notice protruding on her stomach. His hand immediately brushed against it before he rested it there. Sakura's emerald green eyes began to flutter open slowly, as she noticed something was resting against her stomach. Immediately her eyes met jet black ones. "Sasuke," she said sleepily. Sasuke gave her the most hint of a smile as he spoke to her. "Sakura, I have to go on the mission. Look, when I get back I want to discuss our future plans together. And this," he then gently patted the small bump on her stomach, "this is going to take some time to get used to, but I want it just as much as you do." Sakura's eyes widened in shock. Was this his way of apologizing to her for the way he acted? She had gotten over how he acted towards her quickly. He had been shocked and totally not expecting to bring back his clan so quickly. She accepted that. A small smile appeared on her face as she allowed tears to spill down her eyes. "Sasuke, you're forgiven, I love you," said Sakura as she bit back a sob. She then proceeded to kiss Sasuke on the mouth. Sasuke returned the fire she was giving to him just as passionately back. Sasuke wrapped his arms around her and pulled her closer to him, before pulling away from the kiss as he heard a banging on the door and someone's voice. "Uchiha, let's go, Aburame is waiting for us at the western gate, we don't have all day." The voice was that of an impatient Neji. Sasuke sighed and shouted, "Give me 5 minutes, I'm trying to say goodbye to my damn fiancé for sakes." Sakura blinked at Sasuke's words. What did he mean by fiancé exactly? She then gave Sasuke a hopeful look. That look was returned by a smirk. "Well, so much for saying this privately and in a more romantic setting, but Sakura, will you be my wife?" He knew this was rushed, but he had been thinking about making Sakura a proper woman, long before he found out about her pregnancy. Sakura sniffled and nodded. "Hi, I'll be your wife. You better go before Neji uses his gentle fist attacks to break down the door. You know how impatient he sometimes can be." She said this with a giggle, yet she was weeping heavily, knowing she would be Sasuke's wife soon. Not to mention, Sasuke was accepting the existence of the child growing inside of her. Sasuke gave Sakura a quick passionate kiss on the mouth and a hug before he heard Neji banging on the door again. Sasuke got up and blowing a kiss goodbye and whispering that he would be back soon, he grabbed his backpack that he had always ready in case he had to go on some emergency mission and quickly slipped out the door. The first thing he did when he was outside of Sakura's door was give Neji one hell of a glare. "You know that I was trying to make sure Sakura was okay and all. Do you have to be so rude?" Sasuke growled. "This mission is more important right now than your fiancé, and diddle-doddling, this kidnapper probably has a head start on us as it is," said Neji, always being the calm and collected one. This pissed Sasuke off even more. Sasuke grumbled, "Next time you have a private moment with your wife, I'm going to interrupt you both, and I ain't scared of your gentle fist style either." Neji just chuckled and shook his pony-tailed head at Sasuke as they began walking out of the apartment building. "By the way, Sasuke, congratulations on your engagement, and Sakura's pregnancy." Sasuke's jaw almost dropped at hearing Neji say this. "How did he?" Sasuke spoke up. "How did you know about her pregnancy?" "No one was supposed to know until now. Not everyone knows yet, except you, Sakura, Naruto, and his fiancé, who happens to be my cousin. I managed to ask her what she had hidden. She cannot hide something like this from another Hyuga for long, especially when we have Byakugan." Sasuke grumbled, "Does that mean Tenten knows also? You guys better keep that to yourself, at least until I'm ready to tell everyone else about this. It's bad enough the entire village hates me for leaving with Orochimaru, even if our beloved Hokage told me the village thinks I was brainwashed." Neji chuckled and shrugged. It will not be hidden for long, it will begin to show soon enough, Sasuke. Neji became silent as they reached the gate, and much to their hopes, Shino was waiting for them both, patient and as silent as ever. They then headed off into the forest silently, not saying much of anything else, unless they had to. 3 weeks into Sasuke's mission, and Sakura was heartsick and worried about her beloved Sasuke. Naruto had been informed apparently by her fiancé before he left, about her pregnancy, and was told, under no circumstances, was she to go on any missions, nor do anything stressful. He even had Hinata and Tenten come to see her almost every 2 days that Sasuke had been gone, just to make sure she wasn't doing anything that could harm the unborn future heir of the Uchiha clan. Tenten and Hinata were having a nice conversation with Sakura, seeing Hinata had a day off from doing missions with her fellow teammates, and Tenten was in the same boat as Sakura, being 8 months pregnant now with Neji's child. And the two girls wanted to take Sakura out for lunch to cheer her up, seeing Sakura had refused to leave her apartment and get the exercise she was supposed to be doing, orders by Miu, her second in command at the hospital, and also the one who was going to oversee the birth of hers and Sasuke's child when the time came. So Tenten, Hinata, thanks for taking me out for lunch, I think I could use the fresh air, said Sakura as she was sitting with them. Really, you guys didn't have to do this for me. She had never really gotten close to Tenten when they had been younger, but over the years, she and Tenten had become good friends, not as great as she and Hinata and Ino, but she liked talking to the weapon mistress, who had been happily married to Neji for 2 years now. Don't worry about it, Sakura. You needed to get out of that stuffy apartment building, and Naruto-sama told us to make sure you're taken care of until Sasuke, Neji and Shino return. Said Tenten as she was munching on what looked to be some form of meat skewered on a stick. Sakura nodded and sighed a little, so not too much longer until the little ones pop out. Tenten-chan, she said teasingly to the pregnant woman. Apparently Tenten was pregnant with twins. The of the 2 children had not been revealed to the expecting parents, due to that they had not wanted to know and wanted it to be a surprise. Sakura had personally been overseeing Tenten's pregnancy until she herself became pregnant. Sakura refused to not stop being Tenten's doctor even though she herself was now 5 and 1 month pregnant. Tenten giggled and shook her head while patting her swollen stomach. Yep, not too much longer now, so tell me, have you figured out any names yet for the one you're carrying, Sakura? It's too early in the pregnancy to be worried about picking out names. Besides that, Sasuke-kun's going to be helping me choose names. For all I know, I'm probably carrying a girl who knows, said Sakura as she munched on what she had ordered for lunch. Sakura-san, if you need help choosing names, I might be able to help you, said Hinata in her soft whispery voice to the 2 girls. Sakura gave Hinata a smile and giggled. So when is Naruto planning to marry you, Hinata-chan? Or is your father still trying to stop you from marrying our Hokage? Tenten would know something about this, seeing she was married to Hinata's cousin after all, and was living in the Hyuga complex with him. Hinata sighed. Hopefully soon. Father has no say in who I marry now, and I am an adult, and the head of my clan now. Tenten reached over and patted her cousin-in-law's shoulder and said, Hinata became the head of her clan over a month ago finally, so it shouldn't be too long before Naruto-sama and her are married finally. Heck, you surprised me and Neji-kun when your first act of being head of the Hyuga clan was to destroy that scroll that has the cursed seal, hand seals and whatnot on it, Hinata. Ouch. Tenten had felt a sharp kick to her left side at that moment as she was explaining to Sakura what was going on. Sakura looked over at Tenten, concern on her face, and also the doctor in her, worried that it might be Tenten's time already. Sakura had predicted that Tenten could go into labor as early as the middle of her 8th month of pregnancy. Tenten was slowly getting there too. Tenten, started Sakura. Tenten waved her hand at Sakura. Just a kick, they seem to be very active today, that or they miss Neji's voice talking to them a lot. This made the other 2 girls crack up and start laughing at Tenten. Could you imagine Neji being so cute like that? He was usually the king of ice and snow around everyone else. Yeah, yeah, laugh it up. It's funny, not, growled Tenten as she pouted a little. Gomen Nasai Tenten Ne Chan, said Hinata quietly as she stopped laughing almost immediately after Tenten made that statement. But it was certainly very cute that Neji did something like that, in private with Tenten. Sakura then stopped. Gomen Tenten, it was just surprising, she tried to put her serious face on as she returned to eating. The silence was broken after 2 minutes passed by all three girls just suddenly bursting out laughing for no apparent reason. Good night Hinata-chan, Tenten-san, called out the pink-haired girl that a certain pair had been sent to capture. They had been staking out the village for the past few days now, waiting for the chance to snatch the girl up. And tonight was no exception. Remember the plan, stupid, she'll have a fit if we don't bring the girl in one piece, said a voice, the voice belonging to none other than Suigetsu. We knock the girl out, get out of Konohagakure, then send a ransom note to the Hokage, saying we want boss brought to us, then we let the girl go, right? Correct. But Suigetsu, did you not notice something strange about the pink-haired one? Around the stomach area, said the other, who was standing in the shadows in one of the alleyways not far from the Hyuga complex. They knew the girl took this way as a shortcut to getting back to her apartment on the other side of the village. This was Jugo who was speaking. Yeah, so what? She's fat, right? It's just fat for sakes. Why the hell Sasuke likes fat girls is beyond me, said Suigetsu. Now come on, she's coming this way, shut up and wait for the right moment to strike, got it? Hi, whispered Jugo as they lay in wait for Sakura to come into the alleyway. Something was bothering the man though, about the girl's condition. That was not fat he saw on the girl. He remembered that girl also too well. She was the one Sasuke had apparently knocked out as well as his old blonde-haired friend. This was not good at all. If what he thought was true, he would not touch the girl, not in the condition she was in. He waited patiently for the girl to come into the alleyway. Sakura had a fun time with the girls, and couldn't wait to go home and have a shower and then a nice sleep. After their lunch, they had gone for a walk, and did what girls always did when they got together usually. Talk about their men and other things. Sakura sighed as she ran a hand along the swelling of her stomach. She was supposed to be feeling life there soon. I hope you're in there, little one, thought Sakura to her stomach. Sakura had decided to go the usual shortcut tonight, and quietly she slipped into the alleyway, oblivious to the fact that two ninjas were lying in wait for her there. Suddenly she heard a voice. Hey, Sakura-chan. Sakura turned to see her old Junin sensei, Kakashi Hatake, walking over to her. Sakura smiled at him and waved, hello Kakashi sensei. She was so happy to see him. He must have just returned from his year-long mission that Naruto had sent him on. Kakashi gave her that look, that Sakura had become accustomed to knowing as him smiling underneath his mask. The two spoke for 20 minutes, trying to catch up on some things. Kakashi had been shocked to know that Sasuke had come back finally, thanks to just Sakura, as well as the fact she and Sasuke were getting married and she was pregnant all in the same time. The two departed on their separate ways, and Sakura immediately headed into the alleyway. She began to hum a soft tune to herself as she walked through the alleyway. She didn't hear footsteps coming her way as she walked, they had been so quiet. Sakura dropped something, and as she bent down at her knees to pick the item she had dropped off the ground, and returned to standing, she was face to face with a pair of silver eyes and someone with white hair. Then a voice spoke as a hand snaked quickly around Sakura's mouth, preventing her from screaming, into her ear, from behind. Please, don't scream, we don't want to hurt you any more than necessary. The voice almost sounded kind. Then the man with the silver eyes spoke up, a few bad curses in his sentence. Would you fucking hurry up? We don't have all fucking night. God, just knock the damn girl out and let's bring her to that damning woman already. Sakura tried to struggle and get free of the hand that was now around her waist and also the hand around her mouth. Suddenly she felt a sharp kick coming from inside her stomach, before the voice spoke up again. Forgive me, and then Sakura saw blackness, as she slumped against the man holding her body. She had no time at all to cry out her beloved's name, but mentally she screamed it to the heavens, hoping someone would take notice that she was being kidnapped. It had been a long search, but Sasuke had finally managed, along with Shino and Neji's help, finally managed to find the bastard who took Princess Kuriomi and bring her back to the land of the bear. Sasuke was tired and wanted to just go home to Sakura and sleep. He missed his cherry blossom a lot and wondered how she was doing right now. I hope she's okay. I wouldn't want her looking depressed when I get back, thought Sasuke as he and Neji traveled back to the village. Shino had remembered that his father, Gen Aburame, wanted him to go visit some relatives after his mission to the land of the bear was over, so Shino and the others would agree as soon as they reached the land of fire, they would go their separate ways from there. Sasuke spoke up. That was way too much of a pain in that mission. Next time he wants someone to go chase after a kidnapper like that, send an Anbu or something. That was way too easy. I agree. Naruto-sama's missions seem too easy for our own skill, said Neji. Something was worrying the Hyuga as they traveled along the path. The Uchiha looked over to Neji and saw that he was indeed worried. Hey Hyuga, what's up? You worried about Tenten? Said Sasuke as he stopped briefly on a tree branch to rest. They were probably now 3 kms or so away from Konohagakure. Neji looked towards the Uchiha and nodded slightly. Hi, she is very close to her due date, as your fiancé predicted. I hope that I can get back to the village in time before something happens. Sasuke chuckled and was glad he didn't have to worry about Sakura going into labor, at least not for another 3 months or so. Neji and Sasuke had talked on a few occasions during the mission, when Shino was off scouting with his bugs, about what it was like having their beloveds being pregnant. Apparently, Tenten's pregnancy was high risk, due in fact that she was carrying 2 babies and not one, like Sakura was at the moment. Neji had confirmed that Sakura was carrying one when he apparently accidentally used Byakugan on a mission with Sakura recently when Sasuke had gone on a C-ranked mission. That was exactly how the Hyuga had managed to find out really that Sakura was pregnant. Don't worry about Tenten, she's a strong woman, trust me, even though I hardly talked to her when we were younger, she's pretty awesome if you ask me. Said Sasuke, smirking a little at the Hyuga, who was trying to calm down. Neji smirked right back and just gave Sasuke a brief nod. The two of them then headed towards Konohagakure. They weren't expecting to see a panic-ridden faced Tenten as well as a very worried Hokage standing with 2 Anbu guards and Hinata also standing there at the gate, waiting for them after 2 hours passed by. Neji and Sasuke both ran up to the group and giving a stiff bow to the Hokage, Neji walked over to Tenten, who was immediately pulled into a tight hug against him. Tenten kissed Neji's cheek and whispered that she missed him. Sasuke turned to Hinata and Naruto and spoke, "What's going on? Where's Sakura?" He wondered why Sakura hadn't come to see him come home, usually she would have been here by now. Naruto looked upset, as did the other two. Naruto put a hand on Sasuke's shoulder as he tried to form the words on his tongue. Sasuke, Sakura-chan was kidnapped 2 weeks ago, and the kidnappers sent this just this week. That was why Tenten looked panicky when they first arrived. Naruto then handed him a sheet of paper, which had red ink on it. Sasuke was panicking inside of himself, but he remained calm and cold on the outside. He then began to read the letter out loud, so that Neji could hear him. To the leader of Konohagakure. We want only one thing, and one thing only, and we know that he's returned to that despot village of yours, and that one thing that we really want, is Uchiha Sasuke. We have something of his that he will want back. And that something is a pink-haired girl named Sakura. If you so comply with our demands, the woman will be brought back to you unharmed, deceiving us though will make the girl wish she wasn't alive right now. So therefore, your only option is to give us Sasuke. We will be waiting for Sasuke in the land of winds, in the place that the sand ninja call the Dunes of Despair. Sasuke must also come alone, if he wants to see his precious Sakura again. Failure again to comply with these demands will result in the girl's death as well as your village will be next. Signed, K. Sasuke's blood was boiling inside as he finished the letter. No, he wasn't upset and panicking now he was livid with rage. Someone, somehow had managed to kidnap his cherry blossom, right from underneath Naruto's nose and that of over 10 Anbu squads, who should have been doing their jobs. Sasuke-san, spoke Hinata, as all three Hyugas, Naruto and now even the Anbu guards with Naruto were watching his emotions conflict inside of his eyes as he stared at the ground. Naruto was about to say something else, but Sasuke spoke up. I'm going after her, no one's going to stop me either. Sasuke said this growling. The man started stalking off towards his apartment that he shared with Sakura. But was immediately stopped, when he heard Neji speaking, and then suddenly heard a gasp of pain coming from Tenten after Neji spoke. I will come with you then, Sasuke. She is a close friend of mine, as she is Hinata-sama's and Tenten's. Neji was cut off when he felt Tenten's hand clenching his all of a sudden and tightly. Neji turned towards Tenten and saw she was in a lot of pain. Tenten, what is it? Said Neji, trying to remain his calm aloof self in a moment like this. Neji, I don't think you'll be going anywhere, anytime soon, it's time, that time. Said Tenten as she tried to bite back a sob of pain. Neji's eyes looked ready to pop out of their sockets as he realized what she meant by, the time. Hinata was also shocked and worried for her cousin-in-law. Naruto looked ready to rip all of his hair out of his head, and he tried to keep himself from panicking, by saying, all right, no panicking here, Neji, get her to the hospital as quick as you can, Hinata, go with them and tell Miyu-chan what's going on. Sasuke, you come with me, I want to talk to you. Hi, spoke the two Hyugas as Neji carefully picked up his wife, bridal style, and began running towards the ninja hospital, followed closely by Naruto's fiancé, as fast as they could. Sasuke just replied with an HN, and began following Naruto quietly, his hands clenching inside of his pockets. If Sakura managed to survive this kidnapping, Sasuke would end up being like Neji probably, when it came to Sakura's time. And he was being optimistic. He knew he would get his beautiful girl back, deep inside that darkened heart of his. Whoever this K person was, he was going to kill them for taking his woman from a supposedly heavily guarded village like Konohagakure. Naruto didn't say much as they walked to the office. It took about 15 minutes, but they managed to make it there. Naruto was grumbling slightly as he entered his office, and waved off his Anbu guards who immediately took their positions outside the door. Sasuke looked down at the ground as he stood in front of the desk of his best friend. Sasuke, grunted Naruto as he plopped down in his seat, you can't go rushing off like that, you could get killed, and I don't care that you have a lot of skill that can get you out of a situation like this. Sasuke wanted to grab Naruto by the scruff of his robe and kick his, but knew that would get him locked up in the nearest jail cell or worse, killed. He tried to remain calm, and spoke with clenched teeth. Naruto, I have to go after her, I can't just allow someone to take someone as precious to me as she is as you are also. If you were in my position, you'd probably go Kyuubi on whoever took Sakura, right? That's not the point, Sasuke. Damn it, stop being stubborn. What if you go and find Sakura finally? What are you going to do? For all we know, the kidnappers are even more powerful than you forsakes. Shouted Naruto. He was trying to be the smart one here apparently. Fine, you can call me a missing nin, I'm going after her. She's carrying the future of my fallen clan inside of her, and I will not let her fall into someone's hands, because they have a sick and twisted mind. It took me this long to finally actually start having feelings for those around me, Dobi. Sasuke shouted back at Naruto. His eyes began to turn crimson, as his Sharingan suddenly snapped on. Sasuke turned and began to walk towards the office door, and was about to touch the doorknob, when Naruto suddenly appeared behind him pointing a kunai knife at his throat, and heard his deadly voice, that was half a growl and half a hiss. If you leave this village again, Tem, I will kill you right now. I'm not kidding. Now listen to me. I have come up with a plan to get Sakura-chan back. You're not the only one that loves her, Tem. I do as well. She's like a big sister to me. I'm hurting too. You think you're the only here that actually cares about Sakura. Tenten, Hinata, Neji, everyone that knows her cares. Sasuke was shocked at Naruto's words. Sakura was family to him. Just as Sasuke was. Sasuke had always treated Naruto like the little brother he should have had, instead of having Itachi as a brother. Sasuke's eyes returned to their midnight sky color as he began calm down. He would listen to Naruto's words and plan. HMPH, your family to me as well, Naruto. I've always thought of you like a brother, Sasuke admittingly said out loud. So what's your plan? I can't exactly ask Neji right now to go with me. Tenten's about to have his kids, and it's too dangerous to ask the girls either. This is going to be a very deadly sort of mission for them. Naruto gave his best friend a fox-like grin and then had a serious look. He was touched by Sasuke's words. He then pulled the kunai away from Sasuke's throat and hid it inside of his robes, heading towards his desk once again. The blonde Jinchuriki began to contemplate things. Is there a way you can hold on and wait for Neji to be back to duty? I will have him and Kiba join you in your search. As for who else I can spare, I will send Ino and probably her team to back you guys up. I know you and Shikamaru don't always see eye to eye with each other, but they are the only ones I can think of right now. Said Naruto after 4 minutes of silence passed on of contemplation. Fine, I'll take Neji and Kiba with me, but why Ino's team? Oh, wait, that's right, she's a medic ninja, right? Said Sasuke as he gave his best friend a quizzical look. Yeah, she was one of only few that Tsunade Ba-chan taught medical ninjutsu to, as well as my fiancé and Tenten before Tsunade Ba-chan died, said Naruto remorsefully. Sasuke would have to tell Naruto one of these days, why the Godime had died exactly, what had been the cause of her death. But right now, he had his precious fiancé to save, and he would not fail at this. Sasuke, you are hereby ordered along with your team, to head to the Dunes of Despair near Sunagakur. As soon as Neji is ready, you will do your best to bring back Sakura to Konoha. I will send a message to Gaara to inform that you guys will be traveling in his lands, perhaps he can offer backup until Ino's team arrives. Commanded Naruto. Hi, Hokage-sama, said Sasuke, getting full well the mission objectives that he had to succeed at. I will gather Kiba and Neji as soon as they are ready then. Sasuke then bowed his head quickly and walked out of the office, pausing to hear Naruto say his good luck to him. Sakura groaned in slight pain as she finally came to, her eyes drifting slowly open as she tried to adjust to the darkness that she suddenly saw. Then she realized something. She had been blindfolded and her hands were tied at the wrists. She tried to move, but it was hard when one could not see where they were going. Suddenly she heard a voice calling out, a familiar voice, and the voice of one of her kidnappers. So you're awake, huh? About time you did, stupid women, so weak and fragile. What's this about women being weak and fragile, Suigetsu? Said an unfamiliar female voice to the other. Nothing, none of your business anyway, damning woman, said the first voice. Sakura called out, who are you guys? Please, just let me go, I have nothing of value, I'm just a simple woman. Suddenly Sakura's head rolled back and hit a rock wall behind her, as she had been slapped across the face, then felt someone's hand grip her hair tightly. Shut it, bitch, you're here for a very good reason, and that reason is so that I can keep you far, far away from Sasuke-kins, you stupid whore, how dare you? How dare you try to steal my precious Sasuke-kins away from me? Said the female voice. Sakura felt nausea well up in her stomach. They were after her beloved, these guys wanted Sasuke. But for what reason? This girl that had been talking and had slapped her, sounded like a fangirl, a very obsessed fangirl of her fiancé. By the sounds of your voice, something tells me, you knew Sasuke, and let me tell you, he's not your type. So get over it already, there's no way in hell Sasuke would ever be with someone like you. Said Sakura, determinedly, trying to distract them by performing the rope escape jutsu by using a tiny, very tiny amount of chakra. It was hard to do this, while most of her chakra was being used up by the baby and such, and also without her kidnappers knowing that she was trying to escape. You shut the hell up. You fucking whore, I'll kill you. Do you hear me? I'll fucking kill you, shouted the woman, and Sakura would feel cold sharp metal being pressed against her throat, pressing enough that Sakura winced in pain as she had been cut slightly. A voice then spoke up, and the cold metal of the kunai-like blades feeling disappeared. Enough, Karen, the way you are acting, this was not the bargain we made with you. You told me and Suigetsu that this woman would not come to harm, and you already cut her. She's asking for it. Jugo. She's fucking asking for it. Shouted the woman that Sakura had determined to be the one called Karen. Let me go right now so I can kill her. Jugo's right though, Karen. You told us the woman wasn't to be harmed, and why the hell do you care what she says? She's messing with that head of yours, as if there's anything in your brain anyway. Said the man called Suigetsu. Sakura then heard the splashing of water, as Karen shouted, Baka Yaro. Sakura was splashed with a few droplets of whatever the hell the substance was that she had heard being splashed. Sakura wished she could see what was going on, the stupid blindfold was keeping her from seeing. Sakura could hear footsteps and then silence, but she felt someone still was here in the room. Immediately she felt someone touch the cut on her throat, the fingers were gentle if not rough. Forgive the woman, she's just extremely obsessed with our former leader, ever since she met him. Said the voice. Sakura recognized it as the one who sounded kind, the one who had knocked her out and kidnapped her from Konoha. Sakura whimpered softly and said, Please, why did you kidnap me? I did nothing wrong, it's not my fault Sasuke chose me over her, I've known Sasuke since we were children. It's taken me so long since Orochimaru took him away from Konohagakure to get him back. There was a pause that lasted what felt like an eternity before the man spoke again. I do not know exactly, but tell me something about you and Sasuke-san, were you that pink-haired one that he had to fight 5 years ago? The one he said he hated the most. I sensed something always different around him whenever he was near you or that blonde boy. Yes, that was me, and my friend, Naruto. We had been trying so hard to get Sasuke back, it took us 3 years to be ready to try to bring him back, and we failed, we knew we failed when we had our final confrontation. Said Sakura softly, wishing she could see the person that she was talking to. The memories of the past also were coming back to her painfully. Oh, she cried out suddenly, feeling a fluttering movement inside of her swollen stomach. It had been a similar small pain she had felt just before she had been kidnapped. Jugo spoke up, What is it? It's nothing, really, just a small pain in my stomach, said Sakura. For some reason she felt this one called Jugo could be trusted with her secret. I don't know if you've figured it out, but Karen's too late to make Sasuke hers because, well, I'm pregnant with his child, right now. Jugo was furious at this confession. Now the truth was out, somehow Karen knew about Sakura being pregnant with Sasuke-san's child. Jugo suddenly got to his feet and spoke up. I will see what I can do about removing that blindfold soon. Sakura-san, I have a matter to deal with right now. Sakura wanted to tell him to do it now, but she heard his footsteps and then silence once again. Sakura frowned. She didn't like this at all, the way he had left like that, after what she had just revealed. She was frightened more than ever now. What would they do to her now? Sasuke, please, please hurry and find me, begged Sakura silently to the darkness that was the only thing she was able to see right now. Sasuke had been patient for the next few days, pacing back and forth though in Sakura's apartment, as he tried to come up with a few ways to save his beloved Cherry Blossom, with the help he was going to get from Neji and Kiba. Apparently news spread fast in the village, so fast, that it had reached even his own ears about the twins that Tenten had given birth to. Apparently she had 2 boys, both healthy. Sasuke was going to congratulate the Hyuga when he got the chance to. Sasuke's mood though was still pretty much dark right now. He was worried about the here and now, worried for the woman that was carrying his own child, the future of his fallen clan. Suddenly his dark thoughts were interrupted by a loud knock on the door to Sakura's apartment. He wondered who it could be. Sasuke walked over to the door and opened it. Standing there was an older-looking Kiba along with his dog Akamaru, a backpack on his back, and a slightly tired-looking Neji Hyuga with a backpack on his back as well. Sasuke crossed his arms and said, "I assume you guys are here to help me in rescuing Sakura." He already knew the answer but wanted to wait and see what they would say. "Yeah, Naruto called me away from an important Inuzuka clan thing, but that's fine with me. Sakura's life is more important really right now, than some dumb boring ritual," said Kiba as he scratched his chin with a long finger-nailed hand. Akamaru let out a bark saying he wanted to be helpful in the search. Sasuke turned to Neji and raised an eyebrow at him and spoke, "Are you sure you should be going with me, Neji? This mission is dangerous, and you have your children to think about right now. Tenten understands that this is important that we rescue Sakura. She is more forgiving person than some people are," said Neji simply, ending any debate that Sasuke might try to start with the Hyuga prodigy. Sasuke chuckled and then said, "You guys can come in. I have to finish packing. I was waiting for you guys to come find me first before I decided to do anything." He then opened the door more and allowed the 2 of them, including Akamaru, to come in while Sasuke went back into the apartment to gather what things he would need for the rescue. He also changed his clothing, wearing a fishnet shirt underneath a black leather top and dark blue pants. He then grabbed his katana sword and placed it at his side, while grabbing his now stuffed backpack. Once he was done he walked out and eyed the 2 of them. "Let's go," mumbled Sasuke and started heading out the door, Kiba and Neji following him close behind. Once they were out, Sasuke locked the door and they headed off. The only thing Sasuke was able to think about at this moment was how the hell he was going to find Sakura and rescue her. He didn't exactly have a plan in his head at this moment. "Sakura, hang on, alright, just hold on, I'll come for you soon," was his last thought, as him and his team took off out of the village. Sakura had been trying to count how many days it had been since she had been kidnapped by whoever these people were. All she knew was she had to somehow get free soon, before that crazed fangirl, whatever her name was, did. She felt a sharp kick, wishing to Kami-sama she could ease the pain, but her hands were tied still. She mumbled softly, "It's alright, we'll get out of here soon, shish." She felt a blush creep onto her face. She wasn't used to this entire motherhood thing just yet, eventually she would have to get used to it. Her ears perked as she could hear yelling in the next room. She wondered what was going on. Probably the one with the foul mouth having another argument with the crazy woman. Sakura took this opportunity to attempt the rope escape jutsu again. She had come close to being free but somehow Suigetsu found out and had tied her arms even more tightly than they had been. "I have to get out of here, I have to get to Sasuke-kun, and fast." She continued to use the jutsu, with as much charka as she could muster, without risking the babies as well. Sasuke, Neji, Kiba and Akamaru had been traveling for 3 days to the Land of Wind, and had managed to get an audience with Gaara, who had been helpful, quite helpful, in pointing in which direction the meeting place was supposed to be, and had even asked if they required a sand team as backup. Sasuke had almost refused but said that if they weren't out of the canyon, which was where the Dunes of Despair was near, in 2 days, and then Gaara was to send an Anbu team to attempt to rescue Sakura themselves. And so, after a day of resting, the former Uchiha Avenger set off with the rest of his team. His thoughts were in turmoil at this moment. The people who had kidnapped Sakura somehow knew him. This was the only explanation. Sasuke pulled out the letter that Naruto had allowed him to keep, and read the letter over twice as they traveled. Neji took note of this and spoke, "What is it, Sasuke? Do you have a clue who it might be that we are dealing with here?" "The person who signed this, all they left as a clue is the letter K. There are only two people that I've known in my entire life, whose name starts with K, Kakashi and," Sasuke explained. Suddenly his eyes widened in shock and realization. "No, it can't, it just can't be." Kiba was trying to track Sakura by scent along with Kiba as they ran through the desert. "What the hell's up?" barked Kiba. "Team Hubby, my former team, Karen," stuttered Sasuke. He was still in shock. Why would they want to steal Sakura from him? Out of all the people in this damning shinobi world, why them? Sasuke's hands began to clench into fists. "Bakas, I'm going to kill her!" Sasuke shouted. Neji and Kiba looked at Sasuke and Neji spoke up first. "Remain calm, Uchiha. If you rush into this without a clear head, Sakura's life will be forfeit before we even reach her." Sasuke clenched his teeth. Oh, he would be calm. He would fucking be so calm like a hyuga, at least until he got to where they had to meet. "Fine, but we have to hurry the hell up. I don't like this at all," muttered Sasuke as he then suddenly picked up his pace and tried to go further on than Kiba and Akamaru. Neji let out a soft sigh and tried to keep up with Sasuke as much as he could. "It's time to go, guys, and fight Sasuke-kins. No doubt that he brought a team with him to rescue his precious whore," said Karen to Suigetsu and Jugo. Jugo had remained quiet since Sakura had been brought here. Suigetsu hadn't wanted to talk to him after Jugo had mentioned the fact Sakura was pregnant. Though silently, Jugo wanted to kill Karen for this. Perhaps he would get his chance eventually. Without saying anything, he followed Suigetsu and Karen out of the hideout. Suigetsu noticed that Jugo was quiet and decided to go talk to him, while trying to ignore Karen's ramblings, of how she couldn't wait to see Sasuke again. "Hey, what's up your backside lately? You still pissed at Karen?" "That is for my own business to tell you if I'm still pissed or not, Suigetsu," said Jugo, with slight annoyance in his voice. It was very obvious that Jugo was indeed very angered at Karen for stealing a woman, which had won Sasuke's heart fair and square. Unlike Karen, who would have probably drugged Sasuke into making him hers. Suigetsu smirked. "Yo, look, I know Karen's gone fucking crazy here, so, I was thinking we should kill that crazy bitch and be done with her. I wish I had done the fucking job long ago." Jugo said nothing as they walked towards the meeting place. But he was contemplating this even more now, that Suigetsu wanted to kill Karen just as much as Jugo wanted now. It was about an hour before the three had reached the meeting place, long before Sasuke's team had. Karen spoke up. "Remember the plan, guys. Suigetsu, go meet our guests, and make sure you keep whoever came with Sasuke-kins distracted. Go now. Jugo, you and I will take on Sasuke by ourselves." Suigetsu grunted. "Fine, but I'm going to fight Sasuke after you guys get a piece of him, you got that?" He pulled out his sword, which had once belonged to Zabuza Momochi, and pointed the tip at Karen threateningly before he walked off to meet the team at the beginning of the canyon. Jugo then asked, "I assume you want me to go into a rage and use my cursed seal, Karen?" He had no idea why he had liked Karen so much in the past before. He had once had feelings for the woman. But now she had become a total psychopath. He would never admit his feelings for the woman now, he hated her now. Karen nodded. "Yeah, I want you to use it, because I know Sasuke-kins is probably going to use his against us. But we got the upper hand, seeing you're the reason there are curse marks of heaven." Jugo nodded. "Alright, I'll do this." Karen began to rub her hands together schemingly as they waited for Sasuke to show up. "That's right, Sasuke-kins, you have to come through us, to get to your precious pink-haired girlfriend," she mumbled softly to mostly herself. "I can't wait to see you again." The rescue team had managed to get to the canyon within another 2 days of traveling, only stopping when they really needed to rest. Sasuke wanted to continue on without Neji and Kiba, but he needed them to track Sakura and figure out where they were also keeping her. Kiba sniffed the air. Hey, Sasuke, Neji, I think I got something, but it's not Sakura that I smell, I think it's. Well, long time no see, Sasuke, said a voice as the four of them landed on the top of the canyon after leaping up from outcropping to outcropping or by applying chakra to their feet and running up the cliff face. All three of them immediately froze and went into a fighting stance, in regards to Neji going into his Hyuga fighting stance. Sasuke glared daggers at the person blocking their path. Onyx eyes immediately turning to crimson ones, as his Sharingan was activated on reflex. It was obvious Sasuke was pissed off even more now. You, where's Sakura, and don't with me, Suigetsu, said Sasuke angrily at the white-haired former hubby member. Sasuke had never been so angry in his entire existence, with the exception of when he had faced his brother Itachi. Oh, the pink-haired girl. Don't worry, she's safe, or maybe she isn't. Anyway, I think a certain someone is dying to see you again, so your two buddies here, they'll have to stay behind, but don't worry, I'll entertain them until then, Suigetsu said as he stood up leaning against his sword while pointing at Neji and Kiba. Sasuke growled softly and turned to look at Kiba and Neji for a moment. You guys, can you handle him? I have to get to Sakura quickly. He was obviously in a rush also. Neji spoke. It isn't a very fair advantage if we have 3 on 1 person. Kiba, I will assist Sasuke, you and Akamaru deal with him. Suigetsu glared at the 3 of them. Fine, whatever, it's not like I give a real damn about the bitch anyway, I rather see her dead, but, I can't let you two get past me, so again, you'll have to fight me. Sasuke growled and then said, just get on with it, and meet me up ahead, alright. He just quickly took off before the others could protest or anything. He didn't have time for games. As soon as he found Karen, that woman was going to die and die she would, for taking Sakura away from him. Sakura continued to fiddle with her restraints. She had to get free, she just had to. She would not let these bastards toy with her Sasuke. Suddenly she heard a snapping sound, as if rope had been cut. Finally, she shouted out. Sakura giggled as she quickly reached up to where the blindfold was, and immediately removed it. I'm free. Now I have to get out of here, and get to Sasuke before they do. Her eyes began to adjust to her surroundings, having not been able to see for a while. Suddenly she felt another sharp kick from inside of her womb. Her hand immediately went to her 6 and 2 week month swollen stomach. Hi, I know, we have to go kick some major backside. Slowly Sakura got to her feet, and winced as her legs were all cramped up from sitting for what felt like an eternity here. But she couldn't let the pain in her feet get the best of her. As quick as she could, she ran out of the room she had been held prisoner in and attempted to find the exit. Sasuke managed to get about halfway down the canyon before he sensed someone familiar up ahead. Sasuke immediately stopped and pulled out his katana sword. 2 people were standing in his way. Sasuke, you go no further than here, spoke Jugo, who by this time had activated his curse mark. Hi, Sasuke-kins. Waved Karen from behind Jugo, who was smiling at him. Sasuke glared, what the hell are you guys fucking thinking? Huh, you think it's funny to toy with me, by taking Sakura? He yelled. Sasuke, we just had to see you, we haven't seen you since we broke up as a team, said Karen as she took a step from behind Jugo. Besides, I want to know, what the hell you see in that stupid whore? That whore is my fiancé, Karen, and the only person who actually gave enough of a to come after me, and no one with an Uchiha's woman and gets away with it. And you fucking know that, Karen, all of you know that. Growled Sasuke. Obviously Karen had lost it somewhere during Team Hubby's separation. Karen's eyes widened, so Sasuke hadn't been duped by the looks of things, by Sakura. She could even see how worried he was about that bitch right now. Jugo, attack him, right now. Jugo glared at Karen and then frowned a little. I'm sorry, Sasuke, but I have to. He then rushed at Sasuke. Sasuke quickly dodged the charge and attempted to stab at Jugo while dodging. I guess I have no choice, I'll have to use it, to get to Sakura. Please let her still be alive, Sasuke thought to himself as he quickly activated his curse mark. His skin turning a dark brown, as well as a dark blue-purple star appeared on his nose, wings appeared as well, wrapping themselves around his head briefly. As he opened his wings and glared with his Sharingan eyes, this is it, as soon as I'm finished with you Jugo, I'll fucking kill Karen, and if Suigetsu manages to get past Neji and Kiba, him also, he then charged at Jugo, sword in hand, without another word. He would sever his ties with these idiots once and for all. Sasuke had been fighting for 30 minutes with Jugo, and so far he had only managed to wound Jugo's shoulder. This guy was tough. Sasuke would give him that. Thank Kami. I never had to face him until now, thought Sasuke as he dodged another punch that had attempted to knock him to the ground. Sasuke smirked and called out. This is getting boring, Jugo, you should have known by now, that my Sharingan can copy any of your movements, or track them. He then made a quick hand sign with just one hand. He had been practicing over the years how to use just one hand to make hand signs. Jugo came at him again, but a nasty surprise happened as soon as he managed to grab Sasuke's arm to swing him. Chidori Nagashi, called out Sasuke with a growl. Black-colored lightning sprouted from almost every chakra point in Sasuke's back and arm, zapping those who touched him. Jugo was hit and sent flying onto his back a few feet away. Sasuke turned to look at Jugo, he then turned to look at Karen, and a smirk appeared on Sasuke's lips. Your next Karen, was the only thing he said before he appeared behind Karen, sword ready to stab down at Karen's shoulder. Suddenly someone shouted out, Sasuke. Sasuke paused in mid-stride. Who just called out to him like that? Could it be? Slowly he turned to look in the direction of the voice. There running towards him, was his reason for living. Sakura, he mumbled, and quickly kicked Karen away from him, and turned to walk towards her. Not realizing that Karen might try something with him, while his back was turned. Sasuke began to transform back to his normal human appearance, as he tried to calm down. As soon as he was near her, he grabbed her in a hug and kissed her on the lips passionately. Are you okay, Sakura? Did they hurt you at all? He was still trying to control his anger at this moment. Sakura nodded. I'm fine, they didn't hurt me, please just stop fighting them and let's go back to Konoha please, Sasuke-kun, she murmured these soothing words to him as she kissed his chin and face while hugging him. Sasuke closed his eyes as he felt her kissing his chin and face. He hugged her back and nodded, whispering to her. Alright, let's go. Sakura smiled at him when she heard him say these words, and was about to turn to move out of his embrace when she caught something in the corner of her eye. She quickly screamed out, Sasuke, hoping that it would get his attention. Quickly she pushed him out of the way, just as Karen attempted to rush at Sasuke with a kunai blade in her hand, probably was going to try to stab Sasuke. Sasuke managed to indeed get out of the way, but was too late to stop Karen. He heard Sakura's cry of pain. His eyes widened at the scene in front of him. Sakura had saved his life probably. Karen had only managed to stab Sakura in the shoulder, so far. Karen's eyes widened as she tried to pull away from Sakura as best as she could. Why the did you do that for? Bitch. She yelled at Sakura. Sakura smirked as Karen tried to pull away from her. Sakura quickly grabbed the kunai blade lodged in her shoulder and pulled it out carefully, wincing as she did this. She then spoke between clenched teeth. No one screws around with my Sasuke, he's never been yours Karen, so grow up. He'll never be yours as long as he loves me, and I love him. Karen's eye twitched at hearing Sakura's taunting. She then screamed on top of her lungs. Damare. Damare. We are going to see whom Sasuke's going to be with in the end. Omakurasu an means I'm going to kill you. Karen then rushed at Sakura again, but was stopped by a large form tackling her to the ground. You're not going to kill anyone, because I'm going to kill you instead, Karen. Snarled Jugo, your days are numbered, as far as I'm concerned, now. Die. He then attempted to strangle the hell out of Karen while the other two watched. The couple was shocked at Jugo's turning against Karen. Jugo then turned to look at the two of them. Go, was the only thing he said to them before returning to trying to finish Karen off. Sasuke then quickly took Sakura by the hand and started heading back towards where he had left the rest of his team. He then turned briefly to Jugo, who had been kicked off of Karen as she tried to struggle with the big man at this moment. He murmured loud enough, hopefully for him to hear him, "Arigato, Jugo." He then took off with Sakura, glad that she was safe and sound for the moment. His mind was racing a mile a minute, wondering if Jugo would be all right or not. Right now though, he would have to get his fiancée out of here and to safety. Sakura looked at him and spoke, Sasuke, what's wrong? Come on, please, we have to get out of here. Sasuke turned back to his fiancée for a moment and then spoke to her as he kissed her on the mouth passionately. I have to go back, Sakura, please understand this. Sakura frowned and looked at him. No, you can't go back, Sasuke, please. She tried to pull him towards the way they had been going. Sasuke removed his wrist from her hand. He suddenly disappeared, reappearing behind her. I'm sorry, but I have to do this. I love you, Sakura, he whispered into her ear. Sakura knew what probably would happen next, and she wasn't disappointed. She felt a pressure on her neck, and the next thing she knew, she saw darkness. Sasuke quickly caught her before she could hit the ground. Carefully he picked her up into his arms and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was about a mile from where he had left Neji and Kiba to fight Suigetsu. He then gently laid Sakura down against a tree and bent over to stare at her for a moment. He then leaned down and kissed her softly on the mouth and whispered to her, I will return, I promise, then we can be together. With that he disappeared once more. This time he would not return for a long while. Neji, Kiba and Akamaru found Sakura 3 hours after finally defeating Suigetsu. They had no idea where Sasuke had disappeared to. All they had found was an unconscious Sakura laying against a tree. They immediately treated the wound on her shoulder, and brought her back to Konohagakure, without any more trouble on their way. When Sakura woke up, a day later, she would be given the news of what happened. Sakura slowly came around, moaning slightly in pain as she did so. Her hand reached immediately for her swollen pregnant belly. Her eyes fluttered open slowly as she sensed someone else was in the room with her. When she finally opened her eyes, standing there was Naruto, dressed in his Hokage robes. His hat was off though, and a look of what one might think was depression or sadness. Naruto-sama, whispered Sakura, where am I? Naruto then spoke in a grim voice, you're back in Konohagakure, Sakura-chan, in the hospital. Suddenly she remembered everything. Sasuke, where was Sasuke? Where's Sasuke-kun? Yelled Sakura. Panic began to show in her emerald green eyes. Had he abandoned them again? I don't know where he is. Neji and Kiba found you unconscious under a tree, after they searched for you and him for about 2.5 hours. I'm sorry, Sakura-chan, said a sad Naruto. Sakura's eyes widened slightly even more. She remembered something, someone telling her that they would return. Could that have been Sasuke? Suddenly tears began to well up in the corner of her eyes as she thought about this. She then broke down crying, right in front of Naruto. Naruto winced and quickly grabbed Sakura in a comforting hug when she started crying. He tried his best to comfort her, saying soothing things to the distraught woman, and his best friend. Sakura continued to mourn for her lost lover, until her tears dried out and she couldn't cry anymore. She pretty much passed out, exhausted from crying so much. A figure stood up on a cliff face, as he stared down at nothing in particular. Suddenly a voice spoke up, a raspy-sounding voice, as another figure walked over to the one standing beside the cliff. So what should we do now? That they took her back to Konohagakure. I don't see why you didn't go back with her, Sasuke. She's in love with you and pregnant with your child. Suddenly the voice was silenced by the other figure. It spoke. I told her I would return one day. For now, I need time to prepare. She will be alright until then. Naruto is with her. He'll do everything he can to protect her. And I'm not stupid. I know that she's carrying the future of my clan inside of her. Jugo. Jugo then sighed. Don't keep her waiting for too long, though, Sasuke-san. Sasuke smirked and said as he began walking away from the cliff face. I don't plan on keeping her waiting. I also have a funny feeling what exactly she's carrying inside of her. Now come on, I have a few places I want to go to before I decide to go back to Konoha. Jugo agreed silently and the pair quickly disappeared into the night. Sasuke's only thought before he disappeared was this. Soon, my cherry blossom, I will be back for you. Sakura refused to leave her apartment after being discharged from the hospital. She stayed mostly in bed, only eating when she knew she had to eat, and taking a shower when she felt like taking one. Other than that, she would not leave the apartment. Her friends had come to see her every so often, just to make sure she was all right. Tenten had even brought the twins to visit her, while Neji had been out on a mission with the others. The Hyuga twins were so adorable though, which in a way helped Sakura cheer up a little. Sakura also could not wait to give birth to the child inside of her. If somehow Sasuke didn't return, she would take care of the child alone. She had been thinking of names also during her depression days. She finally gave up on being totally depressed. Around the 3rd week of her 8th month of pregnancy, she was getting close to her due date, judging from what the medics told her. She had shocked the hell out of the other girls, when she decided to finally come out of her apartment and go search for them. Hey Sakura, are you doing okay now? Called out Ino, as the blonde was walking with Hinata, who were undoubtedly coming to pay a visit to her house to see if she was okay. Sakura gave them a weak smile and nodded. Hi, I've decided I'm going to be strong now. I can't live out my life being depressed even if Sasuke's dead or alive right now. I got a child to worry about which will be born in 2 to 3 weeks from now. Spoke a determined Sakura. Both of the girls looked at each other briefly. A slight look of confusion appeared on the Hyuga girl's face briefly, before a small smile appeared on her lips as she spoke. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better, Sakura-san. Naruto-sama wanted to speak to you. That's why we came to see you. Sakura nodded. Alright, I'll go see what the moron wants. She chuckled. She was feeling a lot better, it would seem. She then waved to the 2 girls and started waddling towards the Hokage office, wondering what Naruto wanted to talk to her about. Little did she know, she was being watched from the rooftops by a dark figure, which quickly leapt out of sight and began following her. He had done enough thinking over the month and 3 weeks he had been gone, and he was ready to face being with the woman he had abandoned. The whole thing about marrying Sakura, and a child on the way, had totally overwhelmed him, probably hence why he had disappeared after making sure she was safely tucked somewhere, where Neji and Kiba could find her. But now he was ready to do his duty. The first thing he would do, as he stood on the highest branch of a tree, overlooking Konohagakure and the wall that was blocking his path, was to find his beloved Cherry Blossom, and apologize to her for what he had done. He quickly made a hand sign and disappeared without another moment too soon. He appeared on a rooftop not far from the street he knew Sakura's apartment was on. He then hopped over 2 roofs and was on the same street, or near it as Sakura's apartment. Suddenly he spotted the woman of his thoughts standing there talking to what looked to be Hinata and Ino. Damn, I thought she would be in the apartment right now. I'll have to wait a little while to get her alone, he thought to himself. He then watched as Sakura headed in the direction towards Naruto's office. Great, now I just have to follow you now. Sasuke quickly hopped over rooftops, following her as best as he could. Until she came to an alleyway. That was when he made his move. He leapt into the alley, blocking off her path. As she took a step back when she spotted him in the shadows, he quickly was behind her before she could try to scream. he pulled her against his chest and whispered. Don't scream, Sakura, it's me. Emerald eyes went wide when she heard the voice of her precious one. She turned immediately and began kissing him passionately on the mouth, hungrily at this. Sasuke, she cried out between her kisses. Sasuke smirked between their lips at her as he tried to return the favor to her. He had really and truly missed her. He pulled her as close as he could against her, as they kissed. They pulled away after probably about 6 minutes of making out. Sakura stared at him, her eyes full of hurt and wonder. She spoke in a small meek voice to him. How? When? Why did you leave me like that, Sasuke? He sighed. She knew she would be asking that question and he had an answer to go with that question. He spoke up as he held her at arm's length, staring into those beautiful eyes of hers, that he just adored so much. I needed time to think. Everything was just such a blur. Jugo and I went and traveled a little. Karen, by the way, won't be hurting you or anyone anymore. Jugo and I put her out of her misery. You were always in my thoughts though, Sakura. When I left, and this too. He then placed his hand on her swollen stomach, feeling movement after waiting only for a brief moment or two. Sakura looked ready to cry just then. She was happy though. Was he also trying to say that he had made his choice, to stay permanently in Konohagakure? She didn't care. She loved this man so much. Aishiteru, Sasuke-kun, she said before kissing him again on the lips, this time with all the love and passion she could possibly give him. Sasuke closed his eyes as she kissed him and murmured between their lips, Aishiteru Sakura. He knew now that he belonged here in Konohagakure. Having achieved his lifelong goal, now he could finally be at peace and begin restoring his fallen clan with the woman in his arms. And he could not be any happier than he was now. Sasuke had only been in the village for 2 weeks, when all hell broke loose in the Uchiha residence. He had married Sakura a week after he had returned to Konohagakure to stay with her, Naruto and his friends for good. Sakura had been trying to get his attention as he sat on the couch, when suddenly her knees buckled beneath her, her hand going immediately to her stomach. She let out a slight cry of surprise. Sasuke had been watching the entire thing, and immediately knew what was about to happen. His eyes widened slightly in shock as he got up and quickly ran over to his wife. He pretty much shouted, Sakura, is it time now? Sakura winced in pain and nodded. Hi, go get the medic, quickly, please, Sasuke, she tried to say between gasps for air. Sasuke quickly helped her to her feet and led her to the couch. Making sure she was comfortable, he quickly dashed out of the house, and down the street, trying to find the medic. Sakura rubbed her stomach as she waited for her husband to return and mumbled softly to her unborn child, pretty soon, my little one. One more push, that's it, commanded the medic to a panting, sweating Sakura as she was deep in the middle of childbirth. Sakura screamed her head off as she was in a lot of pain at this point. Sasuke was attempting to hold her hand and wipe the sweat off her forehead, also trying to soothe her with soft words of comfort. He didn't at this moment care how hard she was gripping his hand. Come on, Sakura. You can do this, Sasuke encouraged her, as she lifted herself up and tried her hardest to push with what strength she had left. I swear this is going to be the last child we ever have, Uchiha, yelled Sakura during the whole time. Sasuke just chuckled, knowing the words she was saying was probably due to how delirious she was from the pain. He then whispered into her ear. We'll see about that, you might change your mind. Sakura just grunted as another contraction came. She quickly was distracted as she pushed again, screaming on top of her lungs, until pretty much her throat was sore. Sasuke kissed her forehead after she collapsed against Sasuke's chest as he had been sitting behind her trying to be of some help to her. The room was quiet for 2 brief moments, before finally the tiny cry of an infant could be heard. Sasuke looked over towards the medic for a moment, giving a questioning look as the medic tried to clear the airways of the child in her hands. The medic spoke up after another moment. You have a beautiful baby boy, Uchiha-san. Sasuke was a little surprised at this. He had thought all this time Sakura had been carrying a girl for the past 9 months. Sakura smiled tiredly up at him. "You name him," was the only thing she said, seeing she was extremely exhausted right now. The medic wrapped the child in a blanket and handed the small infant to his father. Sasuke chewed on the inside of his cheek in thought. "Sakura, I want you to name him instead," he said. He wasn't really good at names anyway. Sakura sighed and said, "How about we name him Raito? It means light, Uchiha Raito." Sasuke looked down at his wife and then down at the infant in his arms, who was staring at him with dark eyes at the moment, letting out a tiny yawn and waving his tiny hands about. "It's a perfect name, Sakura, my koi," said Sasuke, as he handed Raito to his mother. "He's perfect, just like his mother is." Sakura smiled at him again and a yawn escaped her lips as she held Raito in her arms, and his father, she murmured before falling asleep, content now that she had Sasuke now, and they had a son together. She couldn't have asked for anything more than this, to be honest. She would help spring a new hope for a once fallen clan, and also had managed to win the heart of the man she had always dreamed of being with.